Hi, welcome to Planetary Calendars, Astro Portraits. I'm Ralph Demetrius, one of the astrologers. Our portrait this time is Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss. This is part of our Action Actors series. Before I get started though, please make sure you come and subscribe at Planetary Calendar Astrology. You can push that little button, you get reminded because we do our forecast every Friday for the coming week, and then we do our portraits every Tuesday. You can also come to planetarycalendar.com where you can find our calendars and our books. So let's look at this chart, Keanu Reeves. He's born on September 2nd, 1964 at 5:41 EET, which is -2 in Beirut, Lebanon. Carrie is born on August 21st, 1967, 4:05 p.m., that's PDT, in Vancouver, Canada. Now, obviously, we went to see The Matrix not too long ago, so it's not surprising we're doing this, but they are both action actors, and it's interesting because we've done both a series of women actors and then now men actors who specialize in this role, and they both have a lot of those characteristics. What we look for is we look for strong Mercury and Mars ruled signs. Now, Keanu has a fascinating chart. And it's amazing about his success because all of his major planets are in feminine signs, including his rising sign. He is a Virgo, 9 degrees Virgo. He's got Mercury, which is Virgo's ruled by Mercury. Mercury's conjunct the sun. Same degree, 9 degrees retrograde. So it's internalized. Right? So it's in the process of being in the light of the sun. He has Uranus at 10 degrees Virgo. It adds a tremendous amount of electricity to his personality. But remember, Mercury is retrograde, so it's being internalized. He has a lot of energy inside. Pluto at 13 degrees Virgo. So the intensity is just supercharged. And it's right there, just above the rising, what's called the Gogolon spot, where there's a lot of leverage. A tremendous amount of leverage. And so this is a very powerful personality, but it's very internalized. He has the moon in Cancer. It's the rulership position. So here he has Mercury in rulership, so it's very powerful, and it's extrovert. He has the moon in Cancer, the rulership position. It's conjunct the part of fortune, the Mars, and Venus. So they're all in feminine signs. I mean, his most masculine planet's in the feminine sign. Along with Venus, they're conjunct, Mars and Venus are conjunct in a very caring, loving, nurturing sign in the 11th house, conjunct the part of fortune. Okay? It's one of the few places where you see an air sign or a masculine sign. He has Gemini at the midheaven. And so the Virgo rising, the Gemini at the midheaven, that would be enough for an actor who does action roles. And he's done a whole bunch of them. He has Jupiter highly elevated in the 9th house. And it trines by sign the rising. Right? So very, very interesting. This is actually something we just saw in Ryan Reynolds' chart. He had Jupiter trine the rising in Taurus, though they're different generations. Jupiter in Taurus, trine the rising. This gives great athletic skill. Jupiter in the 9th house is a fantastic position for people with strong athletic skill, great optimism. It's at Algol, which is a very difficult star. So it's a star that has, he's had serious health issues that he's had to overcome. Serious accidents. I mean, all kinds of things that have really been very difficult for him that have added a lot of depth to his personality. This is a person who has suffered, who really understands, human weakness, human vulnerability. It's added a lot of depth to his personality. He's really quite a philosopher, and he has a very philosophical side. Jupiter in the 9th house always gives that. He has Saturn in the 7th house in Pisces, so it's opposite the rising. So his partnerships, Saturn in Pisces retrograde, his partnerships, especially his early partnerships, would have some real difficulties. And I believe in reading his bio that's true. I mean, real difficulties. As he got past that, life would get better. But in those initial experiences. But he has Vesta there, so it's kind of important to him. He keeps that alive for himself. And then most everything is up in this chart. Almost everything in this up is in this chart except for the Saturn, and then Neptune is below. So his life has been lived out in the open. He's wanted to live his life out in the open. Okay, but this is a very, very feminine chart. This is a person, for someone who's had to play such a masculine role. But the thing about the feminine energy is it's not that it isn't powerful. It's that it's responsive. It doesn't initiate things. And if you think about so many of the roles that he has played, all of his actions have been as reactions to something that happened. The John Wick series? It all starts because someone kills his dog. It's and all this chaos comes from beyond that. In the Matrix, he doesn't want to give up what he's doing. They come to him and drag him out from his office and drag him out from his home. And he can't believe that he's actually the one. They're convinced he's the one. He can't believe it. So many of the roles that he has played have been in reaction to something else that someone has done, and then his power has manifested. And that's really, the power of the feminine. He really embodies that. What's interesting is that Carrie-Anne Moss, she plays the person who, in the Matrix, who believed in him as the one. And she was born at August 21st, so she's born at 28 degrees Leo, with Mercury conjunct her sun. Also, they both have Mercury conjunct the sun, but also Jupiter loosely conjunct the sun, and she's born with the sun in the 9th house. So it's a very optimistic house. This is someone with great optimism. On top of that, that sun and conjunct the sun is Ceres, so she's a natural shepherd. She just naturally shepherds other people, and it's conjunct the royal star Regulus. This is a person who just glows. She just glows. There are so many famous people who are born right in those few days with the sun conjunct Regulus. Regulus is the heart of the lion. It makes them courageous. It makes them loving. It makes them bright. She has Sagittarius rising. Of course, she's going to have the most optimistic sign rising, right? She's a person of boundless energy, especially because the Jupiter is trine the rising. They both have Jupiter trine the rising. But his is an earth sign and hers is in fire signs. She's the fiery one. She's the one with all these masculine planets. Now, not all masculine planets. She's very well balanced. Her moon, she's got the moon in Pisces. And it's actually loosely conjunct Chiron. So it's a great position for an actress. And this is something that came to her from when she was a child. I think there was something, she has Chiron and the moon in the 4th house, something about early life, maybe related to her mother, maybe health issues of some sort. That really added to her depth of experience. It made her a much more complex person. Actors oftentimes are very complex. And then she has opposite that Venus in Virgo, which is the fall position for that, along with Juno, Pluto, and Uranus. So to a certain extent, she really wanted to be there as kind of her career. She wanted to be there. She wanted to serve a purpose. It was very important to her to serve a purpose and to being a wife. Juno conjunct the Venus, that being a mother, being a wife, shepherding a group, this was very important to her. What's interesting is that her midheaven's in the 11th house. She wanted to be part of the community. She got into acting because she wanted to be part of a group. That was very important to him. With Keanu, he wanted to achieve. He wanted the notoriety. He has the midheaven in the 10th house. But you put these two charts together, she has what you'd consider the more classically masculine chart. He has the classically feminine chart. And if you see the I think it's this resurrection, they're talking about how they have this, they're generating this huge power by having them close but not being in contact, kind of like putting the two poles of a battery together. It produces all this energy. And they have some of this. They have these components. Like, for instance, his sun is right on her Venus. There is a natural connection there. Now it's in Virgo, so it really relates to someone they would love working with. They just love working together. You get the sun, Venus, in Virgo. They just love working together. Their moons are trine each other from Pisces to Cancer. So emotionally, they're very comfortable with each other. They like the same kind of stuff. They like the emotional stuff. They like the give and take of that. They can be a little funny and a little crabby and still get along. This is interesting. She has her Mars in Scorpio. This would make her an action actress just by itself. It's in the 12th house conjunct Neptune. So she likes make-believe violence. She's really good with make-believe violence. 12th house make-believe, Mars and Scorpio carrying that out. Conjunct Neptune illusion. She's just really good at that. To her, it's almost a mission because Vesta's there as well. And he has Mars in Cancer. So he's actually much more protected, but once again, their Marses are trying each other. So they have all these places where they're very, very compatible to each other, just natural helpmates, natural, co-workers. And it really kind of balances. And it's interesting that, in terms of how it's evolved, that in the movie, she in some ways is the more powerful figure. She has evolved to be the more powerful figure. And she says, becoming a mother dramatically changed me. And we are, after all, the 2000s, the time of the feminine. So that's the chart of these two, Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss. Very interesting people. Really, being able to see the timeline of this series has been fascinating. Please come back and see us on Tuesdays when we do our portraits. They're quite educational and hopefully very entertaining. Come see us on Fridays when we do our forecast for the coming week. You can see those at Planetary Calendar Astrology on YouTube. And please subscribe and push the little button so you'll be reminded. And you can always find us at planetarycalendar.com for our calendars, our books, and whatever. So until next time, be well.